Hello, I'm Jelelle Awen, and this is day 24 of 33 days in this video series that I'm calling Deepen. And from what I'm hearing from those of you that are engaging in the series, either every day with me as the videos come out, or just ones that draw you whenever they draw you, it is an experience of deepening within as you engage with these parts and aspects of yourself and begin to get to know them through these pretty brief tastes of their energies. There's just so much more sense of a self-intimacy that comes from that, and a realization that there are aspects of your being that you're not necessarily conscious of, and that they have a lot to offer. That is definitely a reoccurring theme and realization in the work that we do with people and parts of people, and for myself too. It's amazing the wisdoms and the knowing and even the clarity of memory that these parts hold, that's below often your conscious mind and what it's filtering and relating. And I find that all the time. I'll get told a certain story by someone in a session, and then we'll go in, drop into the energy of the part of them, and that part reveals something new or brings in a memory of something that connects to something else. So the conscious personality can have a lot of whys and confusion and lostness. And as you connect with these parts of yourself, the answers become found in them. They become discovered. And this is true for this life parts, more of the parts that make up the 3D self. I've introduced you to the inner protector, the inner child, the inner teenager, the inner punisher, and today I'm going to introduce you to another aspect of the 3D self that seems to be quite a predominant one, and that is the inner mother. And also we've had some tastes of the 4D self aspects, such as the gatekeeper, and I've introduced you to the idea and sense of metasoul aspects. So these are fractals from the same soul source as you that are in other timelines and lifetimes. So this series really is, I would say, tastes of the experience. It's a bridge to the experience. And if you're really feeling that you'd like to deepen that experience, I do highly recommend a one-on-one session for women over 25 with myself. Then also for women 25 and under with Kalena Calibri, who's been on this series a couple of times with me. And for women and men with Raphael and Gabriel, who've both been in the series as well. So we have a team of resources here. Sometimes we shift people. They start working with a woman and they move to working with one of the men. Or vice versa, and it's a beautiful opportunity to have your parts felt and seen and differentiated. I really feel that we need someone outside of ourselves to go to that even deeper level of differentiation and support. It's a support to something that we can be quite fused to, can't see outside of the self very easily. So I'm amazed actually at the work people can do with themselves, the space they can hold for themselves. And of course, I feel that too for myself. But I also worked with a facilitator for over 5 years in parts work in my beginning days, about 15 years ago, and continue to lean into the community for space holding when I need it, when my parts need it. So there's nothing weak or powerless about asking for this support, especially when it comes to this parts work, because you are literally peeling and looking at layers of an onion that have been so converged together and merged for your whole life and other lifetimes. So having someone say, oh, I think that might be another layer, or let's go this direction. It's very collaborative, our sessions. This is not about us reading out what the truth is for you. This is space that's held to empower you to lead the way, to discover truths, and to be felt by another person in a heart space that has also differentiated and worked with and connected with these aspects of themselves. And the parts seem to know somebody who's done that work, particularly the protectors. So their guard will be up if that work hasn't been consciously done, and they'll feel it when it has been. So if you're at this stage of taking in this series and you're feeling drawn to a session, I really recommend it. And it's $55 USD for 90 very full minutes. And I've been told, and I feel, that it's incredible value for what you get. So today we will go into another aspect of the self that I feel is pretty critical, and that is the inner mother. And the inner mother as it lives in both women and men. So our mothers, there's an extreme templating that happens because, of course, we come out of our mothers. We are gestating in our mother's energy in the womb, and then we are birthed from our mother. And then for most of us, there is quite a intensity that happens in that relationship with our mothers. So for women, there's an inherent templating that happens. We look to our mothers, especially as we're kind of dealing with being in 3D density, which feels so alien to our soul, to our inner child, and to our starseed child. So we're really looking to the mother for templating, nurturing, comfort, some of the frequencies that we experience with divine mother energies, that we experience with star family that holds some of those tones, that we know inside of ourselves is part of our essence. And of course, the trauma and the pain comes in when those frequencies of mother are not embodied by our physical mothers, by our birth mothers. And for a majority of us, they aren't. And this isn't a fault to our birth mothers. It's part of the legacy that they've been part of, that they've chosen to experience in 3D. So they haven't had the templating or received these nurturing energies themselves either. So they're passing on what they've learned, what they've been templated, which is often a wounded matriarchal picture or feeling sense of what femininity is. And when I say matriarchal, really, matriarchal is the wounded masculine inside of a woman. It has tones of control and judgment and dominance and anxiety. So it has some frequencies in it that aren't really about the healthy queen or the healthy Venus, or we don't really have a good word for the sacred feminine that's arising inside of us as we heal from the wounded masculine. But the queen, healthy queen, is more about collaborating. She isn't about controlling. She can manage a lot and respond to a lot, but ultimately she's about serving love with others and empowering them to come into their bigness, to see their souls. She brings out the best in those around her and inspires them toward that. This is what I've been offered deeply as a templating for myself from Divine Mother. So I really had to at some point choose to let go of my birth mother's templating and what she had offered me and move into a frequency of deep surrogacy with Divine Mother. This really happened for me about 8 years ago when I was Reiki attuned, And I just saw those faces of Divine Mother that I've been sharing with you. And I had such an intense surrogacy with them. And during that time, I was trying to interact with my birth mother, but it was just very difficult and strained and conflictual. And we're just in different dimensional frequencies and had been for many years previously. And I had already taken space and breaks at times too. So I decided then to embrace the Divine Mother, to fully embrace my gifts of serving love, especially with women. I decided to complete that relationship with her and haven't been in contact since then, at least in the physical. That was a very important decision for me to move into my femininity. And during this time too, and before this time, I had connected with this part of me that I call the inner mother. And for women and men, that really is the representation, usually, of your birth mother. And sometimes it's a real templating. It's exactly the same energies. You can see and feel them. Other times, the inner mother is more of a push away to the birth mother. So she's kind of an idealized mother. The mother maybe you wish you had, but didn't. For me, embracing my inner mother, really loving her and the energies that I had been polarized against with my birth mother, allowed me to heal that polarization from inside of me. I was able to love this part, this inner mother. I was able to understand compassionately about why she was the way she was, because there's always reasons for behaviors. And I was able to forgive her for not being able to provide me and my parts with the nurturing, compassionate energies that they most needed when they needed it. And in doing that, I was then able to extend that compassionate forgiveness to my birth mother, at least right now in the more of the fourth dimensional frequencies rather than in the physical. So people talk a lot about forgiveness, especially of parents, but I feel that that's really not possible until the forgiveness has happened to your inner parents. And we have a corresponding inner father here too, that you can take what I'm saying about the inner mother and pretty much apply it to the inner father. But I'm featuring the inner mother because I feel like it's that part for which especially women are most served to differentiate from. Because especially if you have a tumultuous, conflictual, ongoing, strained relationship with your mother, or your birth mother, it can be a real gift to turn that inward and look at how your inner mother and probably your inner teenager or your inner child are relating with each other. And I think what you'll discover is that same dynamic that is so challenging with your birth mother is going on inside of you. And if you think about it, how could it not be going on inside of you? You took it in for so many years, especially for those that experience a more narcissistic, intending or inclining mother, or a mother that invades their aura or energy field. Then that invasion can really create quite a self-protection. So the protector is in there as well. If you have a more critical, judgmental mother, then the inner punisher, as I shared in that video, can take on those tones. And really this is about the templating we receive from our parents. We take it in so deeply, we form parts based on it because we need to. We're basically looking to them, just like a little bird looks to the mama bird. How do I fly? How do I get out of this nest? How do I catch worms and feed myself? And the bird mama is teaching how to do that. Our parents are teaching us how to be here in 3D life, using whatever resources they have. And often their resources are lacking because they didn't have a nourishing, compassionate, loving bond with their parents. So in that way, they're pulling the best they can from what they can. And yet we also have to look at what impact did that have on our inner family and our inner worlds, and how does that impact even our relationships with other people. So in the meditation today, I'm going to create that taste, that bridge toward the inner mother part of you, so you can begin to feel her and know her. And in that connecting, you can begin to identify how the dynamic you're experiencing with your mother is represented on the inside. And from there, see how that shifts how you want to relate with your own mother, and how much, and even if it's healthy for you to continue to do that based on the level of toxicity that you may be experiencing there. For men, there's something about individuating from mother that's really important, because again, you literally came out of her. So in terms of letting in a female mate and being with a woman, there's something that seems to be crucial about reconciling with this inner mother and understanding the dynamic of her and your inner child, and especially your inner teenager, and how your sexuality and your blooming sexuality, how your mother related with that or didn't. So we will go in now with lots of support from Divine Mother to meet your inner mother. So go ahead and close your eyes. Begin to connect to your breath, to your lush inner world, which maybe now you're discovering how lush it really, really is. And I'm seeing today actually pink light around us, a beautiful pale pink, feminine energy. And it feels like this is connected to Mother Mary, providing this for us. A sweet, soft womb space for which we can meet now our inner mother. I'm going to invite Mother Mary today to stand with us, to come with us. She, to me, most represents the divine mother frequency, the nurturing, compassionate, forgiving energies, the soft energies that we're so often missing in our relationships with our mothers. And just total acceptance of who we are on a soul level, and even in our human expression. I have never felt her judge another being or energy, even when it can feel quite dark or wounded. I just feel her heart so open. And of course, taking her energy in infuses you with that same energy. We're going to walk down the path. Today seems to be through a meadow with wildflowers. Walking down the path toward your castle. And your castle represents your essence of being as it's arising right now. And take a moment to let in and connect with your castle. What is it looking and feeling like today? It may be shifting if you've been engaging with the series regularly. May depend on which part you're connecting with. Let's ask your protector to come forward. This is the guard of the castle. He's also a guide. You may already be establishing a deepening connection with him or her. I say him because it's usually masculine. You can go back to the day 2 video to connect with your protector more deeply if you like to. But just see right now who comes forward and what do they look and feel like. They can have armor, sometimes a weapon, sometimes not. You may notice them shifting quite a bit during this series. The more you connect, maybe some of that armor is peeling off. They're becoming softer, younger, more open. Ask them now to ask your protector to show you where your inner mother is in your castle. We ask them first how they feel about you meeting your inner mother. What do they feel would be the benefit of it? And do they have any concerns about you meeting her? You may get the feeling that your protector is protecting a younger part and an inner child or an inner teenager. So if you get that feeling, you might ask your protector then, what is that relationship? What is the relationship of your inner mother to your younger parts? And maybe you're already pretty clear about that. But take a moment with your protector to feel into that. It is most likely similar to the relationship you have with your own birth mother. Feel how whatever dynamic you have with your birth mother impacts your protector. Does it make him more guarded, more concerned about letting others in? If you're a man, more hesitant to trust women? This may be something you've never felt before. And this too is feeling how this relationship with your birth mother impacts your inner child and your inner teenager. Which was your experience? Just allow that to be real for you in the moment, without making any kind of excuses or platitudes about needing to forgive your birth mother or moving on. Just feel the reality for parts of you in this relationship. And you're holding this in your heart as your protector guides you, leads you to your inner mother and wherever she is in your castle. Sometimes the inner mother is in a kitchen, especially if your mother was in the kitchen a lot. She may be sort of in a big ballroom with a crown on her head, like the queen ruling the roost. She may be down in a dark room or even the dungeon. Locate your inner mother in this moment. She could be outside the castle as well. If it feels foggy and you can't see where she is, that's okay. You might need to work more with your protector around this and your young parts before you can meet her. There's a progression to this process that is completely up to parts of you, and I always trust it. So I'm introducing you to all of these parts in this series, but your access to them may vary. If you were able to locate and see your inner mother, take in the setting she's in. She might claim the same name as your birth mother right away. Take in what she looks like. Does she look like your birth mother? Or another woman? If you had a very close relationship with an aunt or a grandmother, maybe that's who you're seeing. Just feel the energy of your inner mother. How does she make you feel? If it feels like there's an opening there, you can ask her what her world is like, what her life is like. What her emotional reality is like. You can ask her, how do you relate to the young parts of me, my inner child and my inner teenager? You can ask her, how are you similar to my birth mother? And how are you different? You're listening for a response, but you may get images. You may be brought back to a memory. That often happens when connecting with parts, because that's usually where they are, is in, again, different scenes, especially traumatic scenes. So in any of these meditations, if you start remembering something, that's a teleportation to where this part of you is. It's not just a memory of the mind. So go into that scene and feel it. Feel it with this part of you. So take this connection with the inner mother deeper. If you'd like to, turn off the video and see if more unfolds. Or come back to connect with her again. I feel Mother Mary offering to surrogate your inner mother, to template for her these softer tones of compassion and forgiveness of self and others when your inner mother is ready. Mary is here. So we'll say goodbye to your inner mother for now. Proceed out of your castle, down the path, and back to the meadow. And you can open your eyes now. Or stay in meditative space if you want to. And I hope this gave you a beginning sense of this part of you. I feel like, especially for women, this is a really important energy to connect with and integrate as the arising Venus Queen needs this energy in order to arise. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow.